Welcome. Oh, here she go. Here she go. Here she go with yet another podcast song that's not the theme song. And now she's dancing. Welcome one, welcome all to the Love Your Life podcast. Hello, y'all. Come on in, come on in. We got such a good episode for y'all today, my Lord.
Hot fire.
And here's the thing, it's so good. It's really got like 2 titles.
What? Do we have 2 titles? Where do we get 2 titles from?
It's really got like 2 titles because here's the thing, y'all. We have the title that we gave it, and then we did like a code switch title. So what we really want from y'all to do is in the comments around this episode, we want y'all to pick which title you like the best.
That's really
Just a little survey. Today's episode of the Love Your Life podcast is about something that you understand very concretely. If you are the oldest daughter, if you are the person who is the first generation college student, if you are the person who is the first person called by everyone, today's title is Don't Let Your Family Kill You.
Don't let them do it. Fight them. Don't.
The code. Okay. The code switch title is Redefining Modern Caregiving. Because, and y'all, we really want to get serious about this though. We finna have a good time with it. But we have been up under this for about 10 days of roughness. And just really dealing with the realities of what it means to be a working mom, an entrepreneur, a caregiver, somebody who love your family real bad.
Yes.
Somebody who comes from a culture of, community and care, and what that looks like when you live in this America, in this 2026 year life, where you have all kinds of other expectations. It'd be just like,
It's punching? It's punching you?
it's fighting. It's war. It's that war. And so what has to happen is, as you are really serious about caregiving, we really want you to be honest about what this has to look like for you. And the crux of this was we kind of were having a conversation with our mom, which I know we talked about her on the podcast before. And she made this statement like, well, I took care of my mom, which is a true story. What she failed to mention was that we all took care of her mom. So during the time where my grandmother lived with us when I was during my childhood, my mom and dad were both actively working, perfectly healthy human beings. So they, co-supported that household. When my grandma really got sick, my auntie, who was her sister, retired from her previous job so that she could be with her all day long. I was a teenager, so when my mom and dad would go to work in the morning, I was on duty until it was time for school. My auntie came up at school time. After school, I came home, and I was on duty until my mom and daddy got home. So it was a community effort. But how many of y'all know that in 2026, you don't necessarily have a community? The village is gone, y'all.
Yep.
So we just got to get real clear about what this is going to look like for us moving forward, and how we can really feel good about like honoring our values and the parts of our culture that we want and the tradition that we want to maintain, and what part just got to go.
Right, because I think one of the things that I hope that our generation is doing is redefining caregiving. Just like it doesn't have to look exactly the way that it might have looked before. Like so many other things that we are living with now, we have decided like, hey, it's okay to do it this way. It doesn't have to look like that other thing. So if you're the person who is, running between dropping off something for Big Mama and trying to be at your kid's soccer game, or you could even do it where it's not elderly people. You might be really in the throes of things with having multiple kids in your family. What if you got 2 kids in college and you still trying to figure things out? You still paying for your own student loans. Like you could be having caregiver stuff, and it doesn't have to be the aging or elderly population. So we just want you to listen with an open ear. And I know some of y'all are gonna be like, nah, this the way they did it, this the way I'm doing it. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. But for those of you who are open to another conversation, we just want to say, hey, have you ever considered this?
Have you
Doing
ever
it
considered?
different. Yeah.
And so the other piece of this puzzle is the sandwich generation. If you haven't heard that term before, we want to like introduce you to that concept because if you are our age, so between the ages of 40 and 59, you are more likely going to be eligible to be in that sandwich generation. And one of the statistics I found was something like 50% of people between the ages of 40 and 59 are actually taking care of people at both ends of the spectrum. So they're in the sandwich, right? So you got mama up in here, daddy up here who needs something, and you got your kids who need something, and you in the middle, sandwiched together. And so that's like 16 million people that are potentially in that experience. And it might be something as minor as I just want to make sure nobody's spamming my mom or scamming my mom. It might be something as extensive as I have a parent who has Alzheimer's and I'm a full-time caregiver, and it's the natural condition, right? Because people are waiting longer to have children and people are living longer because we have access to high quality care. So it's not
Right.
a bad thing. But when you think about maybe a generation ago, chances are mama was 20, might be 25, maybe 30. And so grandma was 50, 55. So she was still pretty active and could participate in the caregiving. And that's not necessarily the story right now.
And one of the other things I would add to that is that the way we're doing family looks different now. So,
Right.
like when I graduated from college, I had friends that moved from Indiana to California. I had
Right.
friends that lived overseas, you know? So, like, it wasn't that everybody came back home to roost either.
Right.
And that adds another component to it because sometimes the people that are in the caregiving role are in it because other family members have chosen to live really far away and they're the only ones that are close to whomever they're helping.
Right. That caregiver by default because nobody else would take the responsibility. In our family, there was initially 5 children, with a couple of extras thrown in there for like cousins and things. But then now we currently have so 2 of our siblings have passed on, and so there's just the 3 girls. And right now we have one parent that's still living, but we are like the only ones in the city with her, right? So it does make it where you are basically by default at least somewhat responsible. And I hear that some states actually have it where you could be legally responsible. And so if you have parents who maybe haven't done well with their finances and they don't have any retirement and now you are all of a sudden responsible. Let me tell y'all something. If y'all don't know this, assisted living is not cheap.
No.
High quality support for a parent with Alzheimer's or dementia is not cheap. And
Mm-mm.
so these type of expenses that you are taking on, a lot of people are saying like, "Hey, I'm not financially secure. I'm not comfortable. I'm decreasing what I'm putting into my retirement to help take care of my mom. I'm decreasing what I'm putting into my retirement to make sure that I am covering daycare costs which are, out of this world." And so the long-term trajectory of that is we got to have some hard and maybe like honest conversations because most of the caregivers, guess what?
What?
They women. They women.
Oh.
Almost always falls on the daughters, the aunties, the female cousins. It almost always falls on the females. And if we're already making 80 cents on the dollar of a man and then we can't be putting money away for our retirement.
You're not lying. You're not lying.
So I just want us to have some honest conversations about how we can do it differently so that it feels a little bit differently in the moment, not maybe not so overwhelming in the moment, and then also long term. And this is really why we decided to go the assisted living route with our mom is because we wanted to make sure that we could still have the experiences that we wanted to have in this season of life. And I
Right.
know that for some of y'all, you heard that and you're like, y'all remember the episode of the Cosby Show where he's like, "What?" And so some of y'all probably feel like, "What? 2 black women? What?" But it was a conscious decision, and it
Yeah.
wasn't an easy decision, and it wasn't a cheap decision, but it was the right decision. So the question we want you to really be thinking about today is like, what's the right decision for you? What does that look like, and how do you do that?
Right. I think
And
it's what
this
we're talking about is giving yourself permission to do it in a way that works for you so that you can provide a loving, safe environment for whomever you're caring for. And you can also enjoy your life at the season of life that you're in, whatever that is. That's it. I love
and
that.
and and it's not it doesn't mean that you have to stop giving care. It just means that it might look different. But I do
Mhm.
want to take this little slight segue.
What? When she takes the segue, let me get my stuff here.
I want to take a little slight segue into a little thing called the black tax.
Oh Lord.
And I think that our sweet host, not the spicy one, our sweet host,
What? Wait a minute. Why? What?
host should take on this title and give a few words to those individuals who might be experiencing the black tax. And you probably have to describe it too. You probably have to define it a little bit.
So
Because
so
you might be experiencing a black tax and you're not black. I mean, you might be,
I mean,
but
you might be. It's probably possible. And here's the other thing: it's a black tax right now, but it might be a Latino tax. It might be an Indian
I
tax.
do think they have that. I
It might
do.
be a Nigerian tax. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I think we can definitely talk about what we know for our community, but I'm not so blind as to think that it could not be in other communities as well. But in my coaching side of life, Loving Life with Liz, one of the things I have prioritized is working with high achieving black women who need to
Right.
learn how to have healthy boundaries, how to achieve without overwhelm and burnout, and who have to learn how to love themselves and loving the people that are in their life at the same time, that there's room and space for those. So the black tax is really that. It is about the tax that is imposed emotionally and possibly physically, right? Spiritually, mentally on high achieving black
Financially.
financially on high achieving we can say women of color, but we're going to say black women for this. The
Mhm.
pressure is higher for us. Now here's some I sometimes I have to have a little note because I don't want to misquote. I don't want to mislead. So I got a little note here. It says black mothers have the highest rate of sandwich caregiving at 9.6% higher than white or Hispanic. It means if you are black, the possibility that you are caught in this sandwich generation is 10% higher than everybody else. I have another one. 36% of black caregivers carry sandwich generation responsibilities compared to only 23% of non-Hispanic or white caregivers. Huh? Oh, how about this one? 57% of black family caregivers fall in the high burden bracket, averaging 30 plus hours of care per week.
I'm doing a Jennifer Lewis when she do that pass out.
uh, Per week. 30 extra hours per week. Now, here's the thing. I would like us to let some things be absolute truth. Can we all agree on this? I love my mama. You love you.
Truth.
I love myself. You love yourself.
Truth.
There is space for both of those things. Is that right?
True.
Okay. I love my kid. You love your kids.
True.
Right. I want us to agree. We love our folk. We all love our folk. Whatever we have. Here's the other thing. Some of us, like, we had an auntie that we were tending to too in the community in the when we were growing up. A couple of aunties and a couple of uncles. So I'm not leaving them off of the radar. And in our cousin in the South, she was the designated person. Anytime one of them uncles, one of them single uncles was in the hospital, she was the one who had to leave work all the time, go and talk to the doctors, figure out what procedures, whatever was going on. She was the only one doing it. And our dad would call and talk to her to get a report on his brothers. So it's not only mom and dad, it could be extended family too, because we
For
love
sure.
them as well. And
For
we want to
sure.
look out for them as well. And there's not that is healthy. That is community, that is family. There's nothing wrong with loving them and wanting to look after them. The question is, can you take care of you at the same time that you're doing that in a healthy way? And when you got 30 hours on top of whatever you're doing for work or whatever you're doing for your own family in the course of a week, we might need to reconsider how we're doing it. So that, ladies and possibly gentlemen, is the black tax. It is what high achieving women of color, primarily black women, are going to go through on top of achieving, having to experience the glass ceiling, dealing with microaggressions in the workplace and anti DEI conversations, still showing up being sharp as a tack, but expected to also do these other things outside of the work environment. I said what I said. Did-
I mean, you said it. And
Mm.
here's the thing. It's not just that it's there, right? And it's not like, oh, we just gonna magic wand it and it's gonna go away. We're not. We're not having a Pollyanna conversation. We're talking about shifting things, and how you shift these things is important, and we're gonna get to that. But what we want to just kind of add in,
She's adding.
because for I think this is a generational thing. We've had, like, for generations, this is a normal thing within our culture. It was always granny lived with somebody, auntie lived with somebody, uncle lived with somebody. And I'm gonna take this back just a second for the historical context, right? Y'all know that black people didn't used to get qualified for Social Security, right?
They might not know.
Okay.
They might
So
not
let's
know.
I'm gonna give you just a little bit of a history lesson so you understand how this generationally became a thing, and why, since it hasn't why it's not still the same thing, we probably need to really rethink this. So there was a time when black people primarily worked in, in somebody's kitchen, as a maid, as a housekeeper. We didn't call them a nanny, but basically that's what they were doing, or they were sharecroppers. So they didn't pay into Social Security, and they didn't necessarily have a Social Security number, so they could not draw a Social Security retirement. So you did one of two things. You either worked until you dropped dead,
Mm.
or you had to depend on another family member to provide for you financially. So
Right.
if you grew up with that being your story, that there was always somebody in the house, and now that's what you kind of expect, it was because of that. Well, that's not the case anymore. Your parents probably are currently able to draw at least some retirement, and they may not have as much as they would like, or even you would like, but that probably isn't the case right now. So you do have more access to opportunity to get some type of support. What has changed, though, astronomically, is
Is
what we do for these kids.
Oh, boy. See, we started off talking about the elderly and the aging population because we wanted to smooth ease into this other conversation.
Because some of y'all spending real close to 30 hours a week on
Mm,
them kids and their activities too. Okay?
yeah.
Because you driving Pookie and them from AAU practice to strength training, and you driving your daughter to dance class and to the competition that's all weekend long, and you still trying to figure out how to pay for both of those suckers, so you work at a full-time job and they stay on your nerves, and you're afraid to let any of that go, while also being afraid to say, I'm sorry, mom, you can't live here. We got to figure out something else, some other type of way for this to work. Or maybe, sister, maybe you could take this on for a little bit, or maybe we can swap. Mom can go from place to place, or whatever the case may be. So we just have done a really terrible job of, like, making it more accessible, like the feminism movement, making stuff more accessible for women if they wanted to have careers, but then not doing a doggone thing to address everything that goes with it. So everybody else might not be counting up those costs, but you need to be honest about this. And this is why, because up to 70% of caregivers are experiencing symptoms of depression.
Oh, boy.
77% say that at the very least having some emotional distress.
But if you black, that probably means if you're black and we have such a hard time identifying with the possibility that we might be depressed. So I'm gonna go ahead and say them people depressed too. But and so here, let's jump in here and talk about some of the symptoms of what that might look like. It can look like sleep disruption, right? Sleeping too much or not sleeping enough. It can look like appetite disruption, overeating, like craving all the carbs and sugar in the world, or not eating at all. You've been 2 days and you had one protein shake. It can look like kind of easily being tearful. But for us, sometimes it looks like being mad as HE double hockey stick.
Can we talk about
Yeah.
that for a second? I think you should
Alright.
put on just slip I think you just slip on that therapist hat for just a minute and talk about what depression looked like in us.
In us, because we are so high functioning, we just get really mad about a situation that we feel powerless to resolve or change or
Mhm.
solve. And because of that, you had bet not said nothing. You had bet not look sideways. You bet not mess up. Before I need something, you better figure out what I need. If you're my partner or my kid, you better like, so it really is hard to live with
Yes.
when depression shows up for us sometimes, because it does not look the way that it looks for some of our counterparts. Because for us, that irritability and even the numbing, I think too, shows up
Mhm.
higher for us than it does in other groups. So
Right.
a lot of folks, during my clinical work would come up and be like, "Well, I couldn't be depressed. Could I? Not me. Am I? No." And I'd be like, "Uh-huh. Yeah, you." Yeah, so for us, that angry black woman idea, the angry black woman belief that people have, I don't put any stock into it, but I will say that I think we can show up that way sometimes because we are so tired and so frustrated and so spent and so depressed, that it
Right.
might look like that. So,
But we don't want you to wait to that, okay? If you already sensing that, we definitely want you to reach out to a qualified mental health professional. And there are times that having a few of these conversations, I know a lot of times we think like, well, what is talking to somebody gonna do? I still got these kids to take care of. I still got this mama to take care of. It can help you get clear on what you actually want. So
right.
having a conversation can be beneficial. And let me tell you something. Listen here, if you're going through a particularly rough time, just a little bit of medication.
A
Just a
little bit of
little
medication. A little, say it louder, a little bit of medication.
the way we talk about it around these parts is the medication is a tool to help you do
Right,
what you need to do. Okay?
right.
It's not gonna make it go away. It's just gonna make it easier for you to function. And when you have an unreasonable level of expectation placed on you, you might need a little bit of support to be able to
And let the
manage that.
record show, can I interject here? We are not talking about no gummies. We're
Or
not,
no
or no what?
cigarette.
No, we're not talking about did you just say sickle weed?
I did.
Could you have prepped me for that? Why did you why will people even still say that? Oh my
I say
god.
it. Y'all tell us in the comments if y'all still say it.
Do y'all still say sickle weed? Who's saying that? What are you talking about?
Yeah, look, I'm
We're
like your
not
mama. The
talking
reefer, the reefer.
about yeah, what Reefa and Cigarweed, what is she? Is this good times? What are we talking about? Girl, can you at least bring us up to cannabis?
Hey, any of it. I'm not telling you whether you can or you can't. I'm just saying that's not the tool to deal with
No,
your
that's not
stress.
cool. No, if you are a recreational user, that's none of my business. If you're in Indiana, it's not legal, but it's none of my business. But I'm just saying, like, that is not what we're talking about when we're talking about medication. We are talking about seeing a psychiatrist or your family medical primary care physician to find out if you could be a person who's a good candidate for a mild antidepressant. That's all.
Correct.
And there are some on the market that are not going to be, terribly contradictory to any other medication that you're on or that are going to give you these terrible side effects. I know how we are in the community. And honest to God, I saw a commercial like 2 or 3 days ago, and I don't know what it was for, but I was like, what the H do you fix? You're tearing up everything. I promise to God. I was doing Y'all know I'll be busy now because the baby running around, so I'm always picking up and doing something. And it was a commercial. I said, what the H? What do y'all fix? Y'all have torn up everything from the rooty to the tootie. So I know how we are as a community. We're like, we ain't taking none of this stuff. We're not taking these pills. But honestly, sometimes just a little mild antidepressant can lift the haze for you enough to be able to
Yes.
see clearly so that, the situation might not change. You might be the person who is going to be doing the caregiving primarily for, 2 or 3 generations of people that you're helping. Um, but maybe there's some room in there for you to see your way clearly, to do it a little bit differently, to build in a break here or there or something. And when you're depressed, it's just so hazy and so foggy, you just can't see.
Right. So,
Okay.
and as we say that, we want to kind of pivot into what we want this to look like. So, we're going to obviously now that we have taken y'all all the way through those changes,
To the
talk
sick
about
week.
some of the talk
I
about
think
some
I
of the
believe you said
things.
that.
That's
Sickle
what
weed?
I'm supposed to say.
Oh god. The
That's
sickle
what I
weed?
say. I say "sickleweed." That's what I say. Why wouldn't I say what I say? I'm talking to my friends. Why wouldn't I say what I say?
Okay, Cal, go ahead.
Anyway, we're gonna talk about what it looks like to love well, right? And
Yeah.
the first and foremost, you get to decide what that looks like. And I want you to make peace with the fact that it might look different than it looked for your mom or her mom, but they not living your life. I guarantee you that they wasn't driving 45 minutes on the highway to commute. I guarantee you they wasn't taking nobody 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes one way to get to dance class. So you have to decide I get to choose what this looks like, right? I may not get to choose every single detail of this, but I get to choose what this looks like for me. And be really comfortable with that because the more comfortable you are with it, it doesn't necessarily make everybody else comfortable with it.
No.
But once you get clear about it, then you can make some different choices.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then I want you to give yourself some grace for the grays. So there might be some gray areas where it's like, I'm not loving this. I'm kind of grieving a little bit. I'm frustrated a little bit. I'm not like, you've got to give yourself grace for the fact that maybe in this season, it won't be exactly perfect, right? Maybe you don't make the family's favorite meal or whatever, right? Maybe you have to pick up that carry out because that's what it has to happen. We got to get fed. So really giving yourself more grace um in this season so that you can give yourself the care. Like I think that's the piece that we kind of miss when we're caring for everybody else.
For
We're
sure.
not caring for ourselves. And we think about self-care, bubba baths, and all that crap. That's not what it is.
Mm.
It's guess what? Daycare is open till 6. I'm picking you up at 5:59.
At least one
Because
day a
that
week, I pick you up at 5:59 just so I can go home and I can, like, look at the ceiling.
and that's what it is. And it's
That's what
gonna
it
be
is.
there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I gotta get over to daycare. I don't no. No, they get to stay at daycare. Or bet you don't have childcare after daycare. Bet take the day off. The kids still going. Took the day off. They still going because
Mhm.
I don't have nobody. I have care for mama during the day because the caregiver comes in and sits with her. I got daycare for the kids during the day. Guess what? I'm taking the day off and I'm using the care and I'm not gonna be here. Those are the things that it might need to look like because maybe you don't have somebody who will say, I'm going to give you some respite. And that's not to say, guys, that there's not opportunity for that because a lot of times there are resources that we haven't really capitalized. Like we probably need to talk about that a little bit, but a
Right.
lot of times there are resources that you haven't even tapped into, you haven't asked about, you haven't, looked into because we sometimes don't look for help. So we can't find it because we're not looking for it. So
Yeah, because I
those are
think
some things I want to think about.
we have taken such great pride in doing it on our own. We've taken such great pride in being problem solvers and thinking that we are superheroes and that we have magic because it's black girl magic, right? So when it's not feeling magical to us, sometimes we don't know how to solve it because we fell into the hype. We believed it.
For sure, for sure. So here's one thing we want you to think about this week as we get ready to wrap up. This is going to be a challenge for some of you.
Oh, uh-oh, y'all.
Take a breath. I want you to find something, at least one thing this week that you can delegate, ask for help with, or let go of completely. And this should be based upon your season. Okay. One of the things you want to really be thinking about is in this season, can I handle vacation Bible school? In this season, can I be responsible for planning the family reunion? In this season, can I continue to be on the PTO and on the soccer board and on the what you call it, costume committee? Like can I do all of those things during this season? So you want to think about what is one task that you can delegate from your caregiving, ask for help with, or let go of entirely. And I want you to do this even if you like me,
What?
even if you like my daddy. And the idea of somebody telling you no makes you want wish to do be rather to do it just all by yourself anyway. Because if me or my daddy would have asked you to do something and you fix your face to say no, oh, I ain't never gonna ask your buddy nothing ever again. No, you got to let that go in this season, okay? In this season, if they say no, we just gonna ask the next person because we are releasing these things and they are not things that we are going to carry.
So she's not lying. She definitely, if she think you're gonna say no, and my daddy, if you dare say you would never have to worry about him asking you nothing, not no thing else if you told him no. So we need to be honest about some of our own patterns and habits that will keep us from doing this differently. But I want to share something with you that I think I said on TikTok, and I might have said it on Instagram too. Your nervous system is tired of hearing you say yes to everything. Your nervous system is tired of hearing you say yes. Your nervous system can hardly manage another yes. Like the soul of you knows that this pace is unsustainable. The soul of you knows that you need a break, that this is not going to work and it is breaking you down. And so I just want to encourage you to be kind to your nervous system. Be kind.
Yes, Lord.
Be kind to the soul of you that it is okay to say no to an obligation or to a responsibility and to find a different way of doing it. I know we want to always be found doing all the extra. We
Mhm.
love the extra, but there's some seasons that will call for us to not be able to do the extra, and that's okay. Enough is enough.
It is. So
Should I share Shantae's class with them? You want to talk about
I
that
think
another
you
time?
should because I think, probably as like a little final note here is we want you guys to understand that if you have to say no in this season, that doesn't mean that you have to say no forever. It's just a matter of really which like being a good steward of your time and the resources that you have. You might not have like time is our only limited resource. So if you are choosing to give 30 hours to mom because you get to have a parent that you get to provide care for, then something else is going to have to give. So you got to choose how you move based upon the season that you're in. And so we have a resource that we're going to share with you guys that we think can be helpful, particularly if you are feeling very overwhelmed with the responsibilities that you have and you feel like you never have any time.
So my friend Shantae Grant has a program called Start Here. Her business is called Best Today. It's how to live your best life today. And she created this program about, I won't say time management because she specifically says it's not that. So time stewardship. What to do with your time and how to spend your time so that you actually enjoy your life. And one of the sections in Start Here is about the season. What season are you in? And here's what I love about it. She says you need to know the requirements of the season. That is like, these are the non negotiable things. This is what I have to do. And so, if you are that person who does have someone living with you that you have to take care of, that's one of the things that's in this season. What are the opportunities of the season? What are some things you want to do at this time that you might not be able to do at another time? But then, what are the boundaries of the season and the necessities of the season? Right? So we will put a link to that little course if you'd like it. I have personally worked through it. I love it. It's very minimal as far as cost is concerned, and she breaks everything down into really good bite-sized chunks. So I think the longest section is maybe 30 minutes, but everything else is about 7 to 10 minutes. So in a course of a couple of days, you can work through that course and start to think about how you're using your time differently and to be ferociously honest about what your capacity is for the life that you currently have. So check out Shantae. I love her work and I think you're going to love it too.
All right. Well, we hope that you all have gotten something that will help your family not to kill you because we want you to love your life and that means you got to be alive to do it. We also hope that we have kind of sparked a little bit of a conversation about what it looks like to be a modern caregiver and what that can look like. But most importantly, we just hope that you get inspired to take a reflection and look at what you're actually carrying and what you might need to put down. So, as always, we love y'all and we will see you next time.
next time. Bye.